What happens if the sun cools down completely? During 2008-2009, NASA scientists noted that the sun is undergoing a deep solar minimum and stated that there were no sunspots observed on 266 of 2008's 366 days. Sunspot counts on 2009 even dropped lower. As of September 14, 2019, there were no sunspots on 206 of the year's 257 days, and 2020 marks the beginning of the 25th cycle. Solar physicist Dean Pasnell of the Goddard Space Flight Center came to the following conclusion: we are experiencing a very deep solar minimum. His statement was confirmed by other specialists in the field. Welcome to It's Tomorrow News. I am Hena Talati. Scientists and astronomers have proved that the main sequence stars cool down slowly. The sun is the main sequence star. Will it cool down completely? According to the recent reports from the NASA, the sun is slowly dimming, that is cooling down. The phenomenon, termed as the grand minimum and modern grand solar minimum during the period 2020 to 2053, will lead to a significant reduction of the solar magnetic field and activity, like during the Maunder minimum, leading to the noticeable reduction of the terrestrial temperature. Scientists have already predicted the timings for the solar maximum and solar minimum, and the data they have collected lead them to predict what within 30 years from now on the sun will experience grand minimum. During the event, the sun is expected to be 7% cooler than the lowest point of its 11-year cycle. In the mid-17th century, a phenomenon known as a Maunder minimum occurred, which affected Europe at large and brought a sort of an ice age there. The Thames River would freeze regularly in those days, and the Baltic Sea froze due to the cold. The scientists are of the view that the upcoming grand minimum is going to be similar to the Maunder minimum of the 17th century. As per the scientists, a new 11-year cycle of the sun has begun. Scientists believe the sun was at its weakest in 2090 in the last 100 years or so. Sunspots are the areas of the strong magnetic forces on the surface of the sun, sometimes as large as planets, that appear as darker spots because they are cooler. The sun had no sunspots for around 70% in 2020 compared to 77% in 2090, according to the United States National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration's Space Environment Station. Scientists say the sun may be going through a long period of decreased activity known as modern grand solar minimum from 2020 to 2053. Scientists warn about the sun getting dim in the next 30 years, leaving us in the condition which could be termed as a mini ice age. They claim to have figured out the time for the sun's 11-year cycle of the solar maximum and solar minimum, predicting the grand minimum in the coming period. The sun goes through the 11-year cycle of the active and quiet periods, which are known as the solar maximum and minimum, and the process is just like a heartbeat, where it beats and takes rest at a fixed interval. During the solar maximum, the nuclear fusion at the sun's core produces extreme ultraviolet wavelengths, which in turn forces more magnetic loops to the surface. During the solar minimum, magnetism around the sun diminishes and it experiences lesser sunspots and less ultraviolet radiation, thus dimming the surface of the sun. Solar minima and maxima are the two extremes of the sun's 11-year and 400-year activity cycle. What will be the effect of the grand minimum on Earth? The first effect of sun's dimming down will be the thinning of the stratospheric ozone layer, which will disrupt its temperature structure. It will affect the dynamics of the lower atmosphere, which will include the changes in the wind and weather patterns. However, the cooling will not be uniform. Are we ready for this grand minimum on the Earth? That's all for now. For more news updates, stay tuned with us. It's Tomorrow News. For more global weather updates and documentaries like this, subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon for regular updates.